Okay. Hi guys, we're going to learn about 3 ways to prove triangles congruent today. We will also apply them to proofs in another video, which is just the back side of this worksheet. We will learn about more in this unit, but these are just the 3 ways that we can prove triangles congruent. The first one is just side congruence. And with this specific triangle congruence postulate, we need to have, what S stands for. We need 3 of those, side, side, side. So we need all 3 sides from both triangles to be congruent. So if we're looking at the triangle on the left-hand side, we have AB, we have no marking on BC, and then we have AC as 2 tick marks. When we're looking at that triangle on the right-hand side, we have BD, we have CD with those 2 tick marks, and then also BC. When we're looking at this figure, we notice that we do have that reflexive property about this diagram. So we do know BC is congruent to BC because it's itself, it's overlapping. So we now have side, side, and then side congruence. When we're writing out those congruence statements, we have to make sure that we have corresponding sides matching up. So AB, right, and DB are congruent segments. So I'm going to start by writing out those 2 congruent segments. And then BC is listed second and third on the first triangle. So BC, which is its congruent side, needs to be listed just as second and third on that triangle congruence statement. All right. Looking at our second example of side, 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 we have 3 tick marks, 3 tick marks. We have a circle tick mark, and we have that reflexive segment of EF. So I can say, I'm just going to use this box to note that EF is congruent to EF. So we have 3, right, different tick marks congruent to 3 different tick marks. So I can say by side, side, side that these 2 triangles, 1 and 2, are congruent. So now listing off my congruence statement, DE, in this bottom left-hand triangle, DE is congruent to GF, and EF, right, EF is congruent to FE in the other triangle. And again, just double checking to make sure you listed that first segment is incredibly important, just because you might have listed it as FE first, but then GE is not congruent to EF in that first triangle statement. Okay, so 3 sides congruence. Our next one is side angle side. With side angle side congruence, we need SAS, side angle side. The angle must be the included angle. So just like in our postulate, the angle must be touching both of the sides. In this example, this first example, we have NOP. We have a marked angle, and it's touching both marked congruent sides. We have an included angle because it's touching both marked congruent sides. So like we do have side angle side congruence. Listing out this congruence statement, NO, so N goes from the congruent angle to the 2 tick mark side. So we go from the congruent angle to the 2 tick mark side of QR. OP has no marking on it. RS has no marking on it. Oops, I'm sorry, I forgot to write triangle in front. Did I do that to the others? No. Make sure you're writing triangle as well. Okay. In this next diagram, we do have something special that we learned about in the last unit. We have vertical angles. Those 2 angles that are created by our 2 lines. So we have angle TOV, or TUV, and angle XUW being congruent. So I'm going to mark those because they're vertical angles, and vertical angles are congruent. Now, listing out or determining what postulate we have a side, we have an angle, and then we have another side. So we do have that side angle side congruence postulate. when we're listing off our congruent triangles, TU has one tick mark. WU has one tick mark, and we're ending on U, which is that corresponding angle in both of those triangles, WU. And then UV is listed second, UV, double tick mark, UX in that right-hand triangle. If it's helpful too, I suggest highlighting, and I'll try that in the next congruence theorem as well, which is, or postulate, which is angle side angle. So if angle side angle, again, just like SAS, just like SAS, the side must be touching both angles. So the side is that included piece of the puzzle. So again, side must be touching both of the angles. So we're looking at PQS. I'm going to highlight just to show you guys how great highlighting is. PQS, and then we're comparing this other triangle. So when I'm looking at this figure, I know I have two pairs of congruent angles, one from the yellow, two from the yellow, congruent to two from the green. Additionally, I have an overlapping side. That overlapping side is what is in common between both the yellow and the green triangle. So that overlapping side in this case is QS. And QS is congruent to itself because it's the same, same measure. Okay, so now when I'm listing off my triangle congruence postulates, because I have an angle, I have a side, I have an angle that is touching, again, the side is touching both angles, I can say that they're congruent. So PQ in my yellow triangle goes from P to Q, so no tick mark to one tick mark. And then at QS goes from the angle, right, angle singular tick mark to angle with a slash through it tick mark, which is Q. That didn't make much sense. I know. Okay. Looking at our next one, again, I'm going to highlight just because I think it's a little bit easier. So highlighting that green triangle, highlighting that yellow triangle, and now we're going to compare the two. Right now, we have a side, which is EG, congruent to HG, two tick marks. I have a right angle, I have a right angle. And we can, like, in our heads, be thinking about that Unit 1 definition. If two angles are right angles, then they're congruent. So right now, I only have two pieces of information that's allowing me to really do nothing, because I need that third piece in order to use a triangle congruence postulate. When I'm looking at this diagram, I should be thinking about vertical angles or any reflexive side. What I do have are vertical angles, because with one line, two line, right, and then these two are the opposite angles. I can say these two angles are congruent. Those vertical angles are congruent. So now I have my side, and both my angles are touching it. I have my side, and both my angles are touching it. So therefore, I can say they're congruent. So when I'm listing out that triangle congruence statement, I'm comparing the green to the yellow. So green starts with E. E is the right angle. H is the right angle. It goes to G. G is the vertical angle. G is the vertical angle. This should not be there if it's there on your worksheet. Sorry. And then ending with J. So triangle EGF is congruent to triangle HGJ.